I've been anticipating this test drive for so long that whilst I would usually start a video standing outside the car, talking you through the exterior details, giving you a bit of context as to why I think it's so special, all I want to do is get back in and keep driving because yes, hello one and all and welcome to Seen Through Glass. This is the new Toyota GR Yaris and today I finally get to find out if it's any good.
Yes, it is good. I mean, it might actually be very good, but let's come back to that. Oh my God, it's meeting and nearly superseding so many expectations I had for it. But why? You might be asking, why, Sam, did you have so many expectations for a Toyota? Well, let's address that. I think it was like, well, it feels like forever ago that rumours began, sort of teaser images of a rally-inspired, maybe even a rally-bred Toyota started to surface. Then of course we found out that this wasn't just going to be a rally-inspired Toyota, but actually a homologation special. My favourite, something that we don't really see anymore. But yes, Toyota decided to make this car in order to take the Yaris racing in the World Rally Championship. Hence the GR, the Gazoo Racing name. Now, if you're not that familiar with Toyota's sort of lineup, the GR brand is essentially their sort of AMG or M models. So you've got the actual Gazoo Racing team who go to Le Mans and the World Rally Championship and the Nürburgring 24 Hours, the Dakar Rally with Fernando Alonso, etc. Then you've got the GR models like this GR Yaris and the Supra, and there's also a sort of GR Sport, which is kind of like the baby or the featherweight GR car, if that makes any sense. So yes, a homologation special. Everything you see on this car is in order to make the Yaris as competitive as possible in the World Rally Championship. Now, we're going to have to come back to that because there is a chance it's not actually going to go racing in the World Rally Championship, but ignore that for now because what a car, what a road car we've ended up with. Whatever preconceptions you might have about Toyotas or Toyota hot hatches or the Yaris, forget them now because what I'm doing is just otherworldly. This is so many cars in one. The engineering that has gone into creating this is nuts. I mean, you can tell from the minute you look at the car, the stance of it is insane, and that's because the track is much, much wider than a standard Yaris. But it goes beyond that. We've got an all-wheel drive system in a car that's the same size as my shoe. This whole car weighs under 1,300 kilos, but it's got an all-wheel drive system and with the circuit pack, 2 limited slip diffs. I mean, the things you can do in this car, I mean, they just don't make sense. Like, whoa. Calm down, Sam, calm down. It's only a little Toyota Yaris. This is not a brand new limited run Ferrari, is it? But I don't seem to care because I'm just having the best time. Also, weather near on perfect today. Near on perfect. The reason that I could get a little bit sideways there is despite the fact this is all-wheel drive, I have 3 settings for the way that the power is delivered to my wheels. In normal mode, if I push that, we've now got a traditional, I think relatively traditional, 60-40 split. 60 up front, 40 at the back. If I go into sport, which I was just in, it's 30-70. 70% of the power going to the rear wheels in a little hot hatch is brilliant. Then finally, if I go into track, it's now 50-50. This is an all-out rally car at this point, and what a rally car it is. You know what, it does feel motorsport. The gear change is super mechanical in a really nice way. The car kind of feels inherently on edge, like ready to rag itself around any kind of corner, whether that's loose gravel or tarmac. So now I've told you how the power is split, let's talk about the actual power itself, because we have got a 1.6 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder. It's putting out 257 horsepower. I mean, the power to weight of this thing, it's unreal. Noise is questionable, but it's a 3-cylinder, and we've got various, legislations or regulations even that are dampening things down in that area. But once you get up and going, I'd say it sounds surprisingly beefy. The speed that this thing can gain, but the biggest thing for me that I'm absolutely loving so far today is the way this thing just squats through the corners. I mean, you feel almost like you're sitting further back than you are, but if you look in the wing mirrors, you see those huge rear haunches. When you go through a corner at any kind of speed, you just feel like you're planted down, like just sitting down, and you can just, wow, that's a technical term. Wow! It's so much fun, honestly, in whatever mode you're in, even in normal. When I left the Toyota press garage today, I was in normal. I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Then it started to get sillier and sillier. Very nice Scooby there. It's the kind of attention you do get when you're driving this thing. Other sort of Japanese drivers, well, no, not drivers of Japanese cars. I mean, there might be Japanese as well, I don't know, but they want to race you because they know what it is. This is a car for driving enthusiasts, Japanese car driving enthusiasts. It's niche, but also not. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if I do, so stick with me.
Now, some of you may remember I have actually driven a Yaris that had been fettled by Gazoo Racing before. It was a couple of years ago. It was the Yaris GR MN, the Gazoo Racing Meisters of the Nürburgring, and it was all about introducing that GR brand to Europe. The thing was absolutely amazing. It was kind of maniacal, but I remember really enjoying the experience and actually having a very similar reaction to driving it. And I think that's because, well, maybe I'm talking personally here, but I feel like as petrolheads, we want to love sporty Japanese cars. We kind of need sporty Japanese cars in our life. There are plenty of hot Renaults, hot Fords, and German cars absolutely everywhere. So when a fast Toyota comes along or a fast Japanese car comes along, it just feels inherently exciting, especially when they're good. And that GRMN was mad, but good. And this is so good. But I'm trying to just calm myself down because I've got to be realistic in the fact that was I ever not going to like this? Yes. I mean, it really could have disappointed this thing, but I think I was so hyped up, or I am so hyped up by the fact that it is a homologation special. It looks amazing. I'm sorry, I don't care what you think. This thing looks incredible. The presence of it. It's just got these, I mean, the flair, it looks very good, is what I'm trying to say. So maybe I just kind of had already decided that I was going to enjoy it, but I have been doing a lot of research on this car over the last 6 to 12 months. I've got a friend of mine who really wants to buy one. I've really considered putting a deposit down for one. But there's something that's been holding me back, and I'm not sure what it is. I think we have to judge this car for where it sits within the market. This is not an RS3 rival, it's not an A45 rival. It's a rival to a Megane RS300, maybe a Fiesta ST, and a Hyundai i30N. But what I like about this, it kind of incorporates all those different elements. It's got the character of the i30N, but the kind of road feel and presence of the Megane. It's just, it feels so complete. It's very solid on the road. The GR-MN Yaris still felt quite sort of, flimsy and light in a fun hot hatch way. This feels like a really honed in bit of kit. I mentioned that kind of squatting feeling. It's because it does just feel solid. Despite the fact it's quite lightweight, it feels heavier. Now there are some negatives. I don't like the seats. They're a bit sort of armchair-like. Well, that's it actually, I don't like the seats. It is so complex, this car. There is so much going on to make it what it is, and I've hardly touched on that because I just really wanted to focus on what it feels like rather than the actual components and elements that are sort of under the skin, and it does feel really good. Is it as sort of raw and ridiculous as my Abarth 695 Imposto? No. Is it similar to a Mini GP3? I don't think so. It's closest, I feel, to the Megane Trophy R I drove a few weeks ago. It's got that kind of sense to it, but inherently a little bit more, well, there's just something, and maybe it's the idea of something rather than the actual reality, but the truth is, I don't want to hand it back. I mean, it's a beautiful day and these roads are fantastic, and I just feel like I can push on more and more. The more confidence I get, the more confidence I gain in this car, the more I'm starting to enjoy it. And then the fact that I've basically got 3 different cars in one with these drive mode selects, the way that it changes where the power is being sent to which wheels. It just means you can just choose which car. Do you want a rear-wheel drive car? Do you want a thoroughbred rally car with 50-50 power distribution, or do you want your normal 60-40? Who knows? Who cares? I think you're gonna have a brilliant time in either. It'll be interesting to see what happens with these cars, whether they're going to be heralded by a small group of purists or real Toyota enthusiasts, or whether it will finally help cross more into the mainstream. Will people really consider it a rival to a Megane, a Fiesta, a Hyundai? Stumbled a bit there, didn't I? So yeah, an amazing opportunity, well worth the wait. I think maybe my initial reaction, a tad overexcited, but also justified. I would love to spend more time in one of these. You know what I would love to do is to drive one of these around Japan, to speak to the team, the actual rally team that developed it, to learn more about what's going on under the skin and how to exploit the maximum potential. Because just to jump into it for a few hours, I've got an inkling and I'm excited, but I feel like to really, really adore it and to appreciate it, you need to know everything that's happening, and there's so much. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you have, and make sure you stay subscribed for plenty more videos to come.